I've been gradually working away at the varnish on the bag violin. On the front, where the bridge and the tailpiece have previously been, there are lots of dinks and dents and scratches that are too big to just retouch. So I need to fill the surface level of the varnish back up again to give it a flat surface that then I can retouch on top of and try and disguise this area of damage in the middle. We do of course have our woodworm hole as well, which I've filled in. And I've done some varnish filler, but I'm going to just do a little bit more down here. This is where the tailpiece will have been, and the fine tuners will have just dug into the front. It's a very common area of damage, but I'd like to just make it look a bit better than this. What I use is something called Deft. It's actually an American floor varnish that you can only get over in the States. And when it dries to a really great consistency that then you can use a scraper like this one that I've made. I've got various in varying shapes to scrape off the surface and leave a really beautiful flat surface that then will take retouching, because the beauty of Deft is that it does take retouching compounds and liquids very well. So on the end of a barbecue stick, this one is, I just get a little bit, and then I just drop little bits onto the pits that I can see on the surface of the varnish, and then I can do nothing else but wait for it to dry. There's just a few there I need to address, and having good light while doing this is really important, because I only really want to add this Deft in where it's needed, because if I put too much in, I'm going to be scraping away a lot longer trying to get it all smooth. And I think that will do it. Ideally, I need to leave that to dry for 2-3 days, so there's nothing much more I can do right now. The liquid Deft has now dried on the front of the bag violin, and it has filled in the little craters on the front there. So the next job is to scrape any excess away, bringing the raised level back down to the original varnish level, and hopefully hiding all those little pits in the surface. So to do that, I'm going to use one of my scrapers that I've made, and I'll just put an edge on that. You have to be very careful with scrapers. You can get the worst cuts from scrapers. They don't look like anything sharp on them, but they are really sharp, and I need this sharp to scrape the Deft away really efficiently. You can see just little bits of the Deft coming off here. I do not want to touch the original varnish, so that's why this job, scraping Deft, takes such a long time. I'm pretty sure that I've scraped away all the Deft that I need to in this little area here, but a neat little trick, if you're not quite sure, is to use a bit of white oil and just smooth that over the area, because what this will do is it will bring up any areas so you can see them in the light. The light reflects slightly differently when you add the oil to the area, and you can see any parts of Deft that you don't want to. There's a little bit there that I'm not too happy about. I can just see where the edge of it has hit the original varnish, so I'm going to try and smooth that a little bit. And I'm going to leave it at that. The last thing to do is just to make sure I've got rid of all those scraper marks. So I've got a very, very well worn piece of finishing paper here that's hardly got any grit left on it at all. And very carefully and gently, I'm just going to go over the area, taking out any scraper marks, being careful not to touch the original varnish. And that should leave a really beautiful smooth finish that I can then retouch on. And I think for now that's all the filler varnish done.